Welcome everybody. I'm Karen from Sew and Save, and I'm here at the Ponderosa today working in my sewing studio, and I just finished my blocks for this month for the Fair Isle Block of the Month. Welcome to month 2. I hope you had fun with month 1 and your blocks turned out great. I heard a lot of great things, and the girls that were in class in the store doing it finished their blocks before they went home, and they were just so excited that those blocks came out as nice as they did. They had no idea that they could do that, and were a little nervous at first, but then once they got going with the ruler and the blocks and they turned out great, they were so happy. And I hope you're just as happy with your blocks as they are with theirs. This month, yeah, I know it looks a little bit more technical, doesn't it? And you have made stars before and they haven't worked out so good, have they? This month, they're going to work out beautifully. You are going to be amazed, and you're just not going to believe that you could actually do this, and you can. So this month, we're going to make 8 of these half stars, and we're going to make 4 of the little green full stars. These are 8 inches by 4 inches finished size, so they're going to be 8.5 by 4.5 unfinished. I'm going to show you how to cut all that down. And then these are 4.5 unfinished, finishing to 4. Now in the instructions, it's telling you how to use the Tucker trimmer ruler. I don't have a Tucker trimmer 3 ruler because I sold it to somebody. Yeah, so I don't have one to show you this month. The instructions are written and they show you how to use a Tucker trimmer to trim your blocks down. I used my creative grid rulers, and that's what I'm showing you in the video, and showing you how to use your creative grid rulers as well. If you remember way at the beginning, I sent you out an email and I kind of said the Tucker trimmer 3 ruler was optional. So if you just choose not to get that ruler, you can do it with your creative grid rulers. So next month I'll show you how to use the Tucker trimmer ruler because I have some more on order. What else do I want to tell you? What else do I want to tell you? This is a really fun block. They come together beautifully. You are going to be amazed. You start out with strip sets, and then you use the ruler to trim things down and sew them together. At the end of the instructions this month, at the bottom, it tells you to sew your blocks together in a row. So you're gonna make 4 of these and just set these aside. But then it has you make one of the rows for the quilt. And I have to say that I kind of don't like doing that now. We have quite a while before we're going to put our whole quilt together. And I just don't like, I know everybody's got like some nice bins that they're putting their blocks in, so everything sits nice and flat and smooth because you've got it all pressed and all trimmed really nice. And if you make this big strip, which is going to be a pretty big strip, you're going to have to fold that up and then stick it in your bin. If we were just going to make this quilt this weekend, I would drape it over something and it would be fine. But I don't think you want that draped over the edge of a chair or a spot in your sewing room for the next 6 months. So what I suggest doing is taking the blocks. So last month you made these 2 little blocks, and you have those from last month. This month you would use 8 of those to sew this row because you're going to make 4 of these rows. So my suggestion is that you take your blocks from last month, 8 of those. There's more than that, of course, that you made. You're going to keep those in your month 1 bin, but pull 8 of those out, and then you're going to be cutting. You'll have these squares from this month plus your stars, and put those together in a bag and mark it month 2 row P, because that's going to be row P. Later on, when we start putting the quilt together, it's not going to take you long to sew these guys together, and we'll sew them together right before we're going to use them. That way you don't have to fold them up and stick them in a bin someplace for 6 months. So just lay all of these together in a baggie, clip them together however you like to do it, and mark it month 2 row P, and you'll be ready to go later on when we start sewing things together. This little guy doesn't get to sew to anybody right now. We might pull it and put it together with something else later on. Can't tell you. It'll be a big surprise, but save those. You're going to have 4 of those, and then you'll have 1 bag with 4 of these rows, the blocks for 4 of these rows all together for next month. But until that time, because we're not quite ready to do that yet, let me show you what you're going to cut, and we're going to start by sewing some strip sets. So I'll be back in a minute after I've cut everything that you need to cut for this month. See you soon. This month you're going to be working with 3 of your fabrics. You'll be working with fabric 1, fabric 5, and then of course fabric 17, which is your background. You will be cutting from fabric 1. From fabric 1 you'll be cutting 4 strips by width of fabric at 3 3/4 inches. You will cut 8 4.5-inch squares. Then you will be cutting fabric 5, and these are 2 1.5-inch strips. And then from fabric 17, you're going to cut 4 2.5 by width of fabric strips and 2 2 3/4-inch fabric strips. So 2 by width of fabric at 2 3/4. From these, you're going to set these aside for a while. You're not going to use your squares till later on. From your strips, you're going to be creating strip sets. You will match up fabric 1 and fabric 17, the 2.5-inch strips from fabric 17 with the 3 3/4-inch strips of fabric 1, and fabric 5, the 1.5-inch strips with the 2 3/4-inch strips from fabric 17. You'll be working with this strip set first. And I'm going to go and sew my strip sets together, come back and show you how to sew your strip sets together. You can't just line them up, salvage to salvage, and stitch them down. Oop, and Marley's going to give us a hand. So we'll be back in about 1 minute and show you how to sew those strip sets together. See you in a second. It is now time to sew the strips that you cut out into strip sets. You are going to make 2 different strip sets, and from the first strip set you're going to use is your purple and your cream. So we're using the 3 3/4-inch purple strip and the 2.5-inch background strip. Okay, so your 3 3/4-inch purple strip and your 2.5-inch fabric 17 background strip. Those 2 you're going to sew together. Then you're going to sew your other, or number 17 background strip to your little teal colored strip here. But first, let's go through the purple ones. You're going to make 2 right and 2 left. And to do this, what you need to do when you first start your cream strip on your purple strip, you need to measure down 3 3/4. Now, the width of your strip is 3 3/4 of this purple one. So that's whenever you're making one of these and using the Rapid Fire Lemoyne Star ruler, when you make your strip sets, you will always measure down the width of this purple, or your wider outside strip. So the easiest way that I found to do this, instead of remembering how wide this is and how many inches do they want me to go down and get out my ruler, this is 3 3/4 from here to here. So I simply take and I fold down my fabric. So this is my top, I just fold it down, and that's where I start my cream strip. Can you see that? Easiest way, just fold that down, lay your cream strip there, and sew all the way down. And I do that with each of these. Super simple. You certainly can take a ruler and measure down from the top to here, 3 3/4 on this one. By just folding it down and doing this, you're sure that you have 3 3/4. You didn't read your ruler wrong and you didn't look at the wrong setting. whatever, and how many inches do I have to go down? By just folding it down, you know that you have folded it down and it is measuring down as far as you need to go to start this strip. So you will make, hello Marley, so you will make 2 rights and 2 lefts out of the purple and the cream. Do not cut your tails off. You need these tails. There's a reason why we're starting down this far, and there's a reason why we have these tails. So do not cut those off, because it will not put you in your happy place later on. When you're pressing, you're going to press one side to the white and the other side to the purple. That's very important too. Marley's going to pull all of these threads off of here. She wants attention. So you're going to press, these are diagrams in your instructions as to which way to press these, but they all kind of go this way in the end. So on one side you're going to press it to the white, and on the other side you're going to press it towards the purple. Alrighty? Now, so you're going to end up with 2 rights, 2 left, press towards the white on this, press towards the purple on this. On this one, I think this strip is 2 3/4 if I'm not mistaken, and this is 1 1/2. So I folded down the top, but actually on the wrong side, it's the bottom, so I can't show you. I folded down that top white piece down, and then started my green where that started and went down. And again, I pressed 1 towards the green and 1 towards the cream. Okay, Mark, you're gonna have to get attention on. Alrighty, and again, leave your tails on this. Leave your tails on these. What do I want to tell you? So the reason why we have the cream on the outside on this one and the purple on the outside on that one, let me put the cat down. Okay, the reason why is because on your stars, this is the background and this is the star with the purple. With this one, the background is cream and your star is green. So that's the difference. And it gets a little, you kind of feel a little confused at first, but just follow the directions. Do what we do. Do what I tell you. I'm going to take you step by step through this entire process, because next thing we're going to do is start cutting these up. Isn't that exciting? I know, it's scary and exciting all at once, just as it was last month with the corner beam ruler. And look at how beautiful your blocks turned out last month. So 2 sets of purple and cream and 1 set of the green and cream. Remember, this is your outside, this is going to be your star. On this one, this is your background, this is going to be your star. So that's why, because you kind of want to make 2 of the same strip sets where the cream is in the middle and the color is on the outside. That's not what we're doing. So make these just like this, then come back and I will show you how to cut these. And you can stop the video as many times as you want and start over. That's the beauty of this. You can watch it, do it, watch it, do it step by step. They're going to be beautiful. It's so exciting. Okay, see you in a second. You have your strips all sewn together. And now you're going to layer these 2 strips on top of one another. So I have a right and a left of my purple and cream strips. You're going to lay your green and cream aside for a while. We're going to make these and then we'll go back and make the other stars. So you're going to lay these right sides together, and right now you can see why it was so important to press 1 towards the cream and 1 towards the purple. So I have this one pressed towards the purple, this one is pressed towards the cream, because we're going to nest these 2 seams right inside of one another. All right? So I kind of feel it down and I go down for a ways, and then I'm going to be cutting a few, and then I kind of reline everything up and make sure it's all lined up pretty nice, and continue to cut. Remember, your outsides are not all going to be perfect and beautiful, because when we get done sewing these together, we're going to trim them down to size. Everything is oversized, and we will trim it down, and your blocks will be just as beautiful as the ones you made last month. So now I have these all lined up nice, have my seams lined up, and I am ready to start cutting. I'm going to take my rapid fire Lemoyne Star ruler, and I'm going to lay the pointy end right up to, right to the point or the edge of my cream strip. The ruler itself is going to run right along that seam line. All right, we're going to use this ruler again later on to help us square things up and to make the stars. But we're going to lay this right along my seam line. I'll take this ruler, and we really didn't talk about this ruler very much, or I didn't say, oh, you should get this ruler too. But this is my 6.5 by 12.5 creative grid ruler, and this is perfect for this part of the project because it's wide enough to get over my strips. I have enough area here that I can put my hand on to hold it in place so that it won't slip when I'm cutting. We're going to make sure that all of this is laying nice and flat. My ruler is right along that seam line. My point is right here. I'm going to lay my ruler, my Creative Grids ruler, right along that star ruler on that angle. What this is doing is this is creating a 45-degree angle. All right. Now I'm going to slide my Lemoyne star ruler out of the way, and I'm going to make a cut. All right. This is going to be scrap. I am now going to continue and line up my 2.5-inch line on my Creative Grid ruler right up against that angle that I made. And at this point, what I like to do, well, I'm not sure I can do it with this. Nope, I can't do it with this. Yes, I can. I can come over now. I can't. Forget about it. We're going to line up the 2.5-inch right along that seam line or that cut line, and I'm going to cut. I am going to continue doing this all the way along this strip. As I do this, when I get down to the end, I will have 11 of these sections to work with. I am then going to do exactly the same thing with the other strip set, the other purple and cream strip set that I have, and I'm going to cut 5 more. In total, you will need 16 of these little, I don't know what they're called, trapezoids? Is that a trapezoid? I don't know. Of these little pieces, of those little guys. Alrighty, because we're going to need 16 of these in total. Once you've done that, this is now a kind of another, excuse me, kind of scary thing to do. You're going to take and you're going to kind of trim this section off right along here. And what I do is I kind of take my 45 on this ruler. That's why this ruler is really nice to use. And you're going to take this and trim this to 45, and you're going to kind of make this triangle here. So I started right here with my seam. My little 45-inch mark kind of runs along my edge of my fabric, and then my ruler, as it goes straight up, runs right into this little point right here. All right, so that's kind of how I line it up. I'm going to hit it one more time here. Right along there. And you can kind of see, if you look here, that this straight line and this point kind of run right along on my block. And then yes, I know this is really scary. And then I'm going to trim. But remember, if perchance, for some reason, you do this incorrectly, you've got more strip. Remember, you're only cutting 5 out of your second strip. Your first set, you got 11. So you have extras. So you're going to do this with every single one of these as you go along. So I'm going to kind of line that back up again. Let me show you one more time. I have the 45 on my ruler going right along the edge of the fabric piece that I cut. I have a line going straight across the top of my piece, and then and that goes right to this little corner here, and I'm going to trim. And I'm going to do that on every single one of these blocks. All right, so go and do that and come back. Now what we're going to do is sew a star together. Yes, I know, it's really scary. So what we're going to do is start by sewing these points together. So this is how your block is going to go. This is going to go here. These little triangles that you cut off are not scrap. They're going to come over here. Okay? So that's why this is great, because this is pressed this direction, this is pressed down in this direction, so those two are going to match up, and then we're going to add these 2 corners, and that's going to make our star block. So I'm going to go and sew this together, and then I'm actually going to sew 2 of these together because that's what we need to make one of our blocks. So I'm going to sew 2 of these together, come back, and show you how to square that up. So you're going to sew these 2 guys together. Actually, I think I add this to this and this to this. it doesn't really matter. You're just going to sew those on. And these are way oversized. That's okay, because remember, we're going to trim this all down later to make it nice and square. So we will see you in just a minute. All right, so now I have a stack of right-handed and a stack of left-handed ones. Now we're going to, and you can see that none of this looks very pretty. I've got some stuff sticking out here and stuff sticking up here, and these two don't line up here. That doesn't, none of that's going to matter. Breathe. It's all okay, because in a minute you're going to see a miracle happen. So I just start, and I'll do one stack of the left. So you're going to have 16 right-handed ones and 16 left-handed ones. I just have 2 of each for demonstration purposes. I'm going to lay one of my little triangle pieces down. Now I get to use my rapid fire Lemoyne Star ruler to trim this down. So you can see the point here, and you can see the numbers. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to 12. So you could make a 12-inch square star out of this. We're going to concentrate on the 8-inch line on this. We're going to take that 8-inch line, and we're going to just slide that right up into our little V on our block, just like that. All right, I'm going to just lay it down, slide this up till my lines on the 8-inch line up with my seam line between the purple and the cream outside, or that's actually our inside of our star. See how much this, we're going to trim this all off, and that's going to be discarded. So it doesn't matter that this is crooked. None of that matters. All we're concentrating on is this little 8-inch section here. Later on, we will be trimming off this extra part on the outside, but we're not worried about that right now. All we're worried about is this right here. So now I'm going to trim this off and trim this off. And then you will continue to do that. Look at how beautiful that is. Isn't that pretty? Oh, so pretty. Not scary at all, is it? Line up the 8-inch with your seam line as best you can. See, mine's a little off here. That's going to be okay. We'll be all right. We're going to trim that and that. And you're going to continue to trim all of the rights, and then you're going to come back and trim all of the lefts. And then you will be ready for the next step. So I have my 2 rights done, and now I'm going to do the 2 left ones. And not all of them are going to be perfect. Like this one lines up pretty darn perfect. Not all of them are going to be perfect, and that'll be okay. You're going to be just fine if it's not exactly on that line. I know some of us get a little nervous. I'm kind of doing this backwards a little bit. But you will be just fine. So do all of those, and then come back, and I will show you how you're going to sew these together. See you in a few minutes. So here's my block, all beautifully pressed. I have all of these seams pressed open, and by doing that, if you feel right here, it's not a great big bump. It's nice and flat. Everybody's matching up. Look at how beautiful that looks. I hope yours are looking just as beautiful and you're happy with this. But now you can see all of this is kitty wampus, and we kind of want to make this all nice and square. What we're going to do, they're using their Tucker trimmer, and you can do that. Like I said at the beginning, I think I sold my Tucker trimmer to somebody, and so I have another one on order. So next month I will show you how to use your Tucker trimmer to trim these down. But in the meantime, if you don't have a Tucker trimmer, I am using my 8.5-inch Creative Grid ruler. So this month I used my 6.5 by 12.5-inch Creative Grid ruler, and now I'm going to use my 8.5-inch, because this block is going to be 8.5 inches wide by 4 inches tall. And I'm just going to take a half a second and double check that. I believe that's what it is. Yep, it's going to actually be 4.5 by 8.5. Okay, so what I am going to do, when you see this Creative Grid ruler, and I think you can see that. All right, you can see the white line. What this white line does is it cuts this 8.5 inches right in half, so that when you get down to this point with the circle in the middle, this is exactly the middle of the ruler. So I want, because my rectangle is going to be 8.5 inches wide, I want to know where the center is, because that center is going to run right along this line right here. So I have that white line that's going to run right along that line and come right down. And I need 4.5 inches. And if I put that white dot right there, right on that V, That will give me 1/4 of an inch from that dot to the 4.5 inch bottom that I need. So this is going to go, I put the bullseye right on the bottom of that V, and I'm going to trim off the extra stuff on here. This can come up just a touch here. Oops, there we go. Just a touch right there. So you can see I'm trimming off all of this extra stuff that's sticking out right there. Alrighty, and now it's going to be beautiful. All right, so I have my center white line going straight through the center of my star. You can see this kind of 45-degree line, or this diagonal line, kind of runs right down that seam line right there, and everything looks beautiful. I'm going to trim this side and this side, and then I'm going to kind of just flip my block around. Look at how beautiful that looks already. I'm going to flip my block around and trim off along the other side. I'm going to trim these guys off as I go along. I have my 4.5 running along this side and this side because I trimmed this and this. Now I want to come along and trim this side and that. So I'm always trimming the right side and the top side, unless I'm left-handed, then I'm going to go the other direction. So I'm running my 4.5 inch right along this edge here, and the edge of my ruler here. I'm going to trim off this and then those little dog ears over there, and I will have a beautiful block. Now you can see here, this is my 1/4 inch line that runs right along my Creative Grid ruler, and you can see that I'm not cutting my point off at all here. That is going to be beautiful. And I'm going to trim that off, and look at how nice that block is. I hope all of yours turn out just as beautiful. So you can see the background of this block is purple, the inside is the cream. Now on the small ones that we're going to do next, we're going to do the entire star. We'll be making 4 of them, but on that, the outside is going to be cream and the inside will be that green. So let's get to work on those. It's going to be exactly the same method, but the block is going to be a little different size. So go make these, and then we'll come back and make the other ones. See you in a minute. Go. Now it's time to make the small stars. And this time, instead of making a half a star, we're going to make a full star, and we're going to make 4 of them. This would make, if we had all 4 of them, would make an 8-inch square. 8.5 inch unfinished, 8-inch finished. On this one, we're going to be making a 4-inch star. So it'll be 4.5 inches unfinished, 4 inches finished. We're going to again start by lining up our Lemoyne star ruler right along that seam line. Remember that we laid our 2 strips together, right sides together, and lined up our seam lines and got those all nicely nestled all the way along. We're going to line this again up along the bottom of that seam line, and that kind of clicks right in there. And last time when we cut our strips, remember we cut these little strips right here, we cut them 2.5 inches wide. If you remember, our cream, which is our star point, was a 2.5 inch strip. So that because this was a 2.5 inch strip, we cut this 2.5 inches wide. Now, if you remember, this strip is 1.5 inches, so now we're going to cut 1.5 inch strips. That's how that game is played. Amazing. So we are going to cut, for this, we are going to cut, I'm trying to see how many we need to cut. I forgot. We're going to cut a whole bunch. I'm going to cut up the whole strip. All right, we're going to do this exactly the same way as we did before. I'm going to lay my ruler. I lost my light. Is that okay?
Hang on.
Okay, I can start over. Doesn't matter.
No, we're going to take a break.
Take a break.
Charge this up real quick.
Oh, good. I can see how many I have to do. We could cut that end off, and then we can start here. Make 1 strip. 30. Can I take a 10-minute break? I guess. Sure. Trying to see how many of those we have to make. We're going to make 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. 16 of these we have to cut. Can we get 16 on there? I guess we can. I seriously don't see where they tell you how many to cut of this. Seriously don't see where they tell you how many to cut of this. to rip these two out while I'm sitting here waiting. Oh, ow, my knee. Okay. Okay. It's really a lot of fun. It's really actually a lot of fun. I can enjoy it. That doesn't really get turned off. That can all get turned off. It's so exciting. Yeah, screw that up so exciting. Because we're making an 8-inch block. Because we're making an 8-inch block. An 8-inch finished block. Like the number 8. Yeah, yeah. Go watch the video because you're gonna get this done. Okay, it'll be fine. I could probably get this done. Yeah, once you start doing this, it's a lot of fun. You're gonna get money from it. Yeah. You do, you know, yeah. I like doing feeling cold? Feeling cold?
Why?
I don't know. Because it's cold and rainy out. That's why people don't like you, right, Dale?
Why?
They do. They love you.
Why?
Because you're patronizing.
Excuse me. I'm very sorry, I burped.
Okay. How's your feeling?
I hadn't thought about it in a while, which is
So
probably a
that's
good
probably good.
Oh yeah, that's right. You really had your plans for dinner because you don't have nothing.
No, we don't. I'll have to go and get some. I don't know. What could you go for?
I have to put some more stuff in the grill. Pellets. Then I could go for stuff. What could I go? I could go for a big meat maybe tomorrow if you find a good looking one. Like the last one you got,
Well, not so good.
I didn't like that at all.
Me neither. I didn't like it at all either.
But I get it. You got what was available. But
Yeah.
just get one that's like flat
Yeah.
and marbled if possible. They have
Yeah.
real nice ones at Danny's Meat Market.
Yes, you do.
They should have some up at that meat place. Up at the festival. And then if you could please get some just regular old hamburger.
Okay.
I'd like to make my own hamburgers and freeze them.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be like 10 pounds or anything. You get like 5 pounders.
Okay.
Or a couple 2 or 3 pounders. Yeah. I could make some killer ones. And then it looks good. Maybe we could have like a steak tonight, or we could have like you could get a chicken. I don't know, American chicken.
Could get chicken.
We could roast a chicken in there easy.
Yeah, that would be good.
It would be good.
Would be very tasty.
Chicken out too already.
Yeah, that would be tasty.
I bet that would be good. So if you want to get chicken, maybe.
That'd be
If
awesome.
you can find one.
Yeah, it just depends. Sometimes, sometimes you gotta. Yeah, I hear ya.
Oh yeah, whatever.
I have to have options in my head when I go.
Yeah.
Sometimes they, yeah, just crazy these days.
Yeah.
Just crazy these days.
Okay.
Can I tell you?
And I think I probably could use some club soda if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
Which I can't text you any of this shit because my phones are over there.
Heh.
Okay, here. Oh. Jeez. Ordering everything. If it doesn't look good or whatever, just don't forget.
Yeah, we do the best I can.
No worries.
Okay. You probably can you fix this again? I just went to the bathroom and messed it all up.
Oh, sure. I just want to do
Just
the
want to make sure it's right. Yeah.
a little bit and just stick it in there.
Okay, perfect.
So you aren't pulling on it when you move it.
Yeah. I love my light. That's pretty awesome. Huh.
Oh, well, in the shower.
Oh,
It's just too fucking bad.
okay.
Hang on a sec. Not this damn thing, but that damn thing right there.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, take me how to do this, goddammit. Get right up to that button. On there. mess on that. Watch that sumbitch right there. Plugging that sumbitch right there and plugging this sumbitch right here. Well, then I'm plugging in that sumbitch right there, and then I'm plugging in that one right there.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna turn it on now. Give me 1 second now. Okay, so I'm gonna put it on 75%. So it ain't like sucking that juice out like crazy now.
We can turn off in between.
Oh man, we've been 21 minutes.
Now I'm going to kind of slide it over to the almost all the way to the straight cut there. Line up my creative grid ruler right along that line so we get a beautiful 45-degree angle right there. Move my Lemoyne Star ruler out of the way and make a trim. This is going to be discarded. We're not going to use that. Now we're going to continue to cut, this time 1.5 inch strips all the way along. Oop, get out of the way. There we go. And we're going to cut 16 of these. I looked everywhere and it doesn't say how many of these you need, but I can tell you that you are going to need 16 of these little guys. So I'm just going to cut a few more here so we can, so we can get going and make a beautiful star. Now this time we're going to cut and we're going to make a full star. Last time we made a half a star, this time we're making a full star. So I've got 4 of these. 4 of these will make a full star. Now if you remember, right, we had to come and trim off that one triangle. So now we're going to do exactly the same thing again. I lined up my 45-degree line here and I'm kind of coming all the way straight up here, and I actually am going to come up and hit this like right about here so that I have my 45 running here and I have the straight edge of my ruler coming up to that point in the corner, and then I'm going to come this way and then I'm going to trim. Again, you're going to line up your 45-degree angle line and up with the diagonal line of your block, and then the straight edge of this ruler is going to go right up into that point. It's going to seem wrong, it's going to be strange, it doesn't seem like it's going to be right, but it is. So you're going to end up with a piece like this and like this, and you're going to do that to all 16 of the pieces you cut. 45-degree line on the diagonal line and the straight edge all the way up to the point. You're going to do that to all of them. Yep, and you need 4 to make 1 star. 4 sets of these to make 1 star. So that's why we made 16. Because we're going to make 4 stars in the end. Once I do this, then I am ready to sew my triangles to my little trapezoidal sections, or now they're not trapezoids, I don't know what they are, to those. Those to those. Okie dokie, here we go. Time to sew. Off to the sewing machine. If you remember for our first block, when we trimmed this down, we lined up our little V and our little V seam with the 8. And we did that because we had, in the end, an 8-inch finished block, 8.5 unfinished. But this time, we are going to have a 4-inch finished block, 4.5 inches unfinished. So now when we trim this down, we are going to line up our little V with the 4 because we have a 4-inch finished block. So I'm going to lay this on here, and then I'm going to trim just like I did before. Trim that side and this side. I'm going to do that on all of the right and all of the left. See how nice that looks? Ooh, they're going to sew together just as nice as those 8-inchers did. And I find I'm a little bit closer on this side than I was on the other, but that's okay. It's all going to look just fine in the end. Usually when I do this, I will kind of go like this. I lay out all my blocks, and then I lay this, I lay my ruler on there, trim this down, pick it up, go to the next one. And just kind of get them all laid out. So all I have to do is pick up my ruler and move it over. I'll show you how to do that with the other 4 that I'm going to do here in a second. I have to fix that. That is, I'm kind of going upside down and backwards. for the video here a little bit. There we go. Beautiful. So these are awesome. Can't wait to sew those together and see that little itty bitty star. It's going to be so fun. So usually what I'll do is I'll take them and I'll kind of lay them. These I might, just so that we don't get off camera, kind of lay them this way. And then I'll come along, line them up, line up the 4 on the V, and trim. Look at how kitty wampus those are when they go to, when I sew those little triangles on, and now they look beautiful. Here we go, there's that one. And remember, if it's not exactly on that V, you can smudge it a little bit as you're sewing those V's together, because we're going to trim these down again before we're done. And that is okay. Here we go. Do this one. And then I'll be ready to sew them together. I'm so excited. Can't wait. Here we go. One more. Now we're going to sew all these pieces together, and we will have a star. Off to the sewing machine. Now we're on our last step for making these blocks. Look at how beautiful. Well, it does look beautiful, except for the outside is all kitty wampus and cricket and shaggy. And we are going to make this beautifully squared up and straight. So this block is going to end up being 4.5 inches unfinished, so that when we sew it, it will be 4 inches. So I'm using my Creative Grids 4.5 inch ruler. And this ruler, again, has the white lines going straight through the middle of that ruler. And right in the center of the block is that little bullseye. So we're going to use that bullseye, and we are going to put that right in the center point of our block. That way we know that we have the block in the little star in the middle of our block, and we are going to cut the border. Look at how much bigger this outside is. We're going to trim all of that off and end up with 4.5 inches. So I've got that bullseye right in the middle of my block. You can see the white line going straight through the center of the V here, and then horizontally it's going straight through the V there. You've got your little diagonal line going right through that side square as well. So look at how nice that's all lining up. So I'm going to hold this in place. It's all lined up. And I am going to cut the right side and the top. Then I'm going to flip my block. I've trimmed this side and that side. So I'm going to line up the side of my ruler with the left side and the bottom, because those are the two sides that I have trimmed. And now I am going to trim the other two sides. Don't you love that everything is bigger, and now you're trimming it smaller, and it's all going to be perfect? Ta-da! Look at that. And I've got plenty of room. I've got at least 1/4 inch going all the way around this block, so that when I sew it into my quilt, we will not be cutting off any of those points. So now you can trim all 4 of yours down to this size, the 4.5 inch size. You will have 4 of these and 8 of these, and you will be ready for next month. Ta-da! Yay! Beautiful. Aren't they awesome? Didn't think you could do that, did ya? Well, you did. Okay, if you have any questions, any problems, you just give me a call, stop in the store, email me, text me, and I'm happy to help you anytime. So have fun with these, and we will see you again next month. Bye for now.